Before we start, just a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. Only 2% are subscribed. At 1,000 subscribers, I'll be posting a special video. Lena wiped beer from Eli's lip with her thumb. He blinked once, then laughed because it felt safer. My chair scraped back hard. Everyone glanced, then looked away. I counted to 3 because anger loves shortcuts. I'm Maya, 27. I lifted my glass and let the ice knock loud. Hands to yourself, my voice came out steady. Her mouth twitched, challenge accepted, game on. She leaned in anyway, hair behind her ear, wrist loose. Eli's knee bounced like a faulty metronome. Just helping, she murmured, eyes never leaving his. The table buzzed again like we'd joined live wires. Spin again, I flicked the bottle toward the center. It whirled fast, then pointed dead between them. No one laughed this time, which told me plenty. Lena tapped the glass neck, 1 tap, then 2. Truth or dare, her nails drummed. Eli swallowed and glanced my way once, then twice. Truth, his voice thinned, medium brave, low sense. Do you want me to stop? She asked. Silence fell like a dropped plate, sharp, unavoidable. He hesitated long enough to bruise something in me. Yes, he finally breathed it, barely above the hum. She smiled anyway, small, private, defiant. I shifted closer, knee to his, shoulder tight. Boundaries, I said, and I meant all of them. Her stare slid over me like a blade test. I didn't flinch, yet I felt the cut. Bathroom, she stood, hips angled toward him. Eli exhaled like he'd been holding a bridge. I stood too and followed because I had to. The room watched us go like it loved chaos. In the hallway she turned, fast, almost eager. You scared to look twice, she asked, chin high. Do you need him too? I asked back. Her smirk faltered, only a crack, but I saw it. Relax, she leaned on the wall, shoulder pressed hard. I'm stress testing your fairy tale, she enjoyed the phrase. I'm not a lab, I said, hands unclenched. She rolled her wrist, permission she didn't have. I stepped close, inch short of collision. He isn't your hobby, he isn't your bet. A pulse beat in her throat, quick, cornered, stubborn. Prove he wants you, she whispered, breath even. We returned to the table, chairs adjusted, eyes dodged. Eli reached for me under the edge, fingers searching. I let him find my palm, warm, apologetic, unsure. Lena watched the contact like it was evidence. Another round, someone said, voice too bright. I poured small and kept my wrist steady. Eli whispered near my ear, close, cautious, hopeful. Ride home together, he asked, mouth barely moving. Of course, I nodded and felt the click. Across from us, Lena lifted her phone, screen angled. 1 snap, then a second, then the faintest grin. That grin told me this wasn't over yet. She set a napkin by Eli, folded sharp, cornered. He didn't touch it, which mattered tonight. My pulse slowed, but only to reload. I slid the napkin back to her, no shake. Her eyes hardened, polite vanishing, steel arriving. Game S still on, she whispered, lips barely parting. I met the dare and kept my voice low. Then I'll change the rules before you do. We left early, coats, keys, quiet goodbyes. On the sidewalk, Eli squeezed my hand twice. I messed up, he breathed, eyes fixed ahead. I filed the words for later, useful, not enough. Behind us a door clicked, soft, deliberate, final. I felt her look land between our shoulders. Eli didn't turn, which counted tonight. I did only once because I know foreshadows when they move. My phone pinged twice while we crossed the curb. Airdrop request from an alias I knew too well. The preview showed Eli framed with a folded square. I accepted before fear could argue, then braced. He noticed my knuckles locking around the screen. What came through, his voice stayed low, eyes forward. I turned the photo toward him without blinking. His jaw tightened once, then not again. Unlock yours, I held out my hand, palm steady. He looked at the door like escape lived there. Now I didn't raise volume, I raised consequence. He pressed his thumb down, the screen surrendered. I opened messages and scrolled past work noise. Muted thread at the bottom, tiny bell crossed out. The chat opened with a sticker, bright and dumb. Under it, a line from him that stung. Still thinking about earlier, the timestamp mocked restraint. I stared until it ached, then kept going. Her reply sat beneath, short and sharp. Prove it tonight. He reached for the phone, I pulled back. Are we dealing with a dare? My mouth dried. Silence stretched between us like wire under tension. His shoulders dropped, which told me plenty. Another notification crashed the moment open. Instagram request from a blank profile, zero history. A clip loaded, faces cropped, voices clean. Lena off camera tossing bait to someone. She'll forgive anything, watch and learn, clear as glass. My breath hitched once, then settled into focus. I saved the clip to my files for safety. The account sent a second message immediately. Want proof, she started it and the text blinked. A photo arrived, table edge, her hand extended. Underneath scrawled words I hadn't seen earlier. Boundary test. I looked at Eli and decided not to shake. Text her to meet us now, I kept it even. He hesitated long enough to expose his backbone. Type this, no winks, no extras. He wrote what I dictated and showed me. Talk tonight, no games, public place. I watched the typing bubbles appear, then stall. Her answer landed fast like a thrown coin. Come hungry, 2 words, enough challenge for both. I sent the location before courage could evaporate. He rubbed his wrist, I ignored the plea there. We walked, each step measuring a line I refused to move. Inside the booth, I set my phone flat. Screen off, recorder running, camera angled clean. Eli sat across, eyes on my mouth. I held steady because retreat feeds predators. The door chimed, Lena slid in without asking. She placed her elbows on the table and waited. No greetings, only the thrum of intent. Say what you came to say. You framed a test and used my relationship. I kept my voice level, not generous. Her lashes lifted once, then settled into calculation. Or he volunteered, which matters more to you. Eli shifted like the seat burned. Drop the performance and own the move. My finger tapped the phone once, no flourish. Her attention flicked down and then back up. She leaned closer, breath steady, eyes predatory. Fine, I started pushing, then he chased. Eli jolted, denial on deck, apology behind it. I raised a palm and let him sit with that. Why? My question landed soft, then sat heavy. She rolled a wrist like time bored her. Because you flaunted something you didn't earn. The word earn lit a fuse I needed. I took Eli's hand and turned it toward her. Here's the last chance to choose decency. Her mouth curved but never brightened. Decency is for spectators. My phone buzzed against the wood like a trapped insect. New message from the blank profile, 3 attachments. Screenshots of their thread cropped clean, names intact. The top one read, 1 drink, 1 text. I let the silence grind until someone broke. Eli swallowed once, then stared at his thumbs. End it, I said, clear, no mercy. He nodded because there was nothing else left. Lena laughed once, quick and brittle, then stilled. You think you've won a prize, her nails tapped twice. I tightened my grip on the phone and breathed. I think I've found the truth we start from. She stood and left a bill without looking. At the doorway she paused like she expected collapse. I met her eyes and didn't blink. The pause turned into a promise I planned to break. I hit record before the door latched behind us. Eli paced once across the kitchen and stopped hard. In contact tonight, I said, no wiggle left. He nodded, then reached for my phone like absolution. Not yours to fix, I kept it in my pocket. You'll do it from your device right now. He unlocked it and stared at a blinking cursor. Type the cutoff and send it without sugar. 3 words left his screen and flew. My stomach didn't unclench, it counted. Dots pulsed on his display, then vanished. A new message slid in with a slap. Come get your sweater, I'm outside. I looked at him, he looked at the floor. We moved to the peephole and checked anyway. There she stood, calm and ready like rehearsal. Stay put, I whispered, palms cold and useful. I opened the door only as far as needed. She smiled like this was neighborly and harmless. I brought something you forgot to return. A shopping receipt, on the back a handle written. Admi will clear this quietly, she offered it. I left it hanging between us and didn't blink. Quiet ends now, bring what you intend to show. Her gaze slid past my shoulder toward Eli. He backed into the hallway and found the wall. Thought you were braver, she breathed, voice almost kind. The almost gut punched me more than the words. I stepped outside and pulled the door behind me. 2 minutes, nothing cute, no stunts. She tilted her chin and lowered her voice. Then listen close because you keep missing things. She pulled out a second phone, not the usual. No wallpaper, no apps, only messages. Thread with Eli's number, bare timestamps and lines. I scanned enough to know it was real. Where did you get that? My hands didn't shake. Spare for trials, she replied, eyes never moving. And there's a wager you haven't seen yet. She tapped the screen and scrolled twice. A picture appeared, familiar booth, tight crop. Under it, a caption I hadn't read before. One drink, one text, one kiss. The extra item hit like a bucket of ice. You planned the third step, my voice flattened. Only if he lied, she answered with a shrug. You could have stopped him earlier. She slid the device back into her coat. I'm returning this, she added, lifting a pendant. I didn't touch it and she let it. Dangle. Take it back inside and keep him busy. I glanced down, recognized it, and felt the drop. I opened the door and waved Eli over. This was in her pocket, not your drawer. He rubbed his brow and stepped closer to inspect. His face blanched, then tightened into something harder. You went through my place, his voice cut through. She didn't deny it, not even a blink. Security's boring when trust is free. I marked the sentence because it would matter. I lifted my phone and captured 5 seconds. Her posture, the pendant, his expression locked tight. Anything else you need to hand back? She pressed her lips together and gave me silence. Last ask, I said, steering to the point. Tell me who tipped me on your alias. A flick of surprise cracked her mask for a beat. Maybe you finally have allies. Names, I kept my voice even and dull. She pulled the spare phone again and typed fast. A contact card displayed with one username. She turned it toward me like a dare. I memorized it and didn't reach. Send every item you collected to my inbox. Her eyebrow lifted, curious, nearly amused. Or I walk away from him and torch you publicly. She weighed it, then gave one slow nod. You won't leave him, she said with certainty. You like the idea of fixing him more. I stared until she had to look away. Clock's ticking, I added, stepping back inside. She lingered long enough to steal a last glance at him. He didn't step forward, which saved us a little. The door shut and the lock caught like a verdict. Inside, I set the recording on the table. 2 choices, I said, letting breath return. Full transparency or we halt and you move out. His shoulders squared like he finally picked a lane. Everything, he answered, voice gravelly and small. He opened his laptop and started forwarding archives. I stood by the counter and watched the progress crawl. Each sent item was a stitch I could trust. My phone chimed and the files started arriving. Clips, screenshots, timestamps, even the wager thread. I copied them to a folder and labeled it clean. Eli watched me work like confession might save him. Another ping from an unknown handle landed. Trade for silence, the text read, short and smug. Then a link to a group chat I recognized. The title mocked me with inside jokes we built. I tapped it and saw the newest post. A poll about me, crude and busy with votes. The last option read, she'll stay anyway. My thumb hovered and then found record again. I captured the screen and sent it to everyone there. Vote with your chest, I wrote, pulse steady. Then I waded through 3 long dots that stuttered. First retreat came from someone I once trusted. Didn't know the depth, I'm out, they bylaid quickly. Two more left without comment, then the poll vanished. Lena's icon stayed online, unblinking, relentless. I sent one final line that stripped the varnish. Deliver the rest or meet me tomorrow morning. Time, place, witnesses all in the text. Eli read over my shoulder without speaking. He reached for my hand and stopped midway. Don't touch me until this is over. He pulled back and swallowed that boundary clean. His eyes watered not from guilt, from losing ground. I let him feel the slope because I was done cushioning. My inbox pinged again with a heavy drop. A zip file from an encrypted burner with her cadence. I saved it and left it sealed for now. You open bombs once and only when ready. I cracked the zip and let the files spill open. Audio first, her voice cool and clipped. Trial phase begins now, metal in the tone, no warmth. I paused each sentence and logged timestamps for later use. Next video, a booth corner with our heads cropped. Her nails drummed, his knee twitched, my hand still. A caption blinked on screen like a dare. Third step pending, my stomach tightened but my focus sharpened. I forwarded everything to a fresh address I controlled. 2 backups, one offline, one cloud. Eli watched the progress bar like a countdown. I reached for water and set it down untouched. Another folder marked collateral waited at the bottom. Inside, a list of names tied to bets. Small amounts, stupid comments, ugly certainty. My circle looked different after reading those lines. I screenshotted the list and masked out the bystanders. Only the instigators stayed visible, nothing extra. Then I drafted a short summary with headings. 3 bullets, no fluff, just the bones. Eli hovered, voice raw and barely steady. Can we repair this? His fingers curled and released. I didn't answer fast because rush helps liars. Repair follows truth, show me your last unsent message. He opened drafts, a single line sat waiting. Meet me anyway, he stared at it like poison. Delete it, I said, my jaw set. He erased the words and locked the screen. My phone buzzed with a new file push. From her spare, subject line empty, body blank. Attachment labeled insurance chewed at my nerves. I opened it and lined in without blinking. A screen recording of her chat with a witness. They planned a scene, they timed the interruptions. The witness wanted clout, she promised attention. I recognized the handle from the poll earlier. I clipped the important 30 seconds for leverage. Then I wrote a message to that witness. Retract your part in writing before sunrise. 3 dots appeared, then nothing, then reappeared. Can we talk first? Their courage flickered on and off. No, I wrote and set a timer. Eli sat on the floor and exhaled once. He knew the next hour would decide everything. I composed a single text to Lena next. Deliver the physical items you took tonight. Refuse and I share the recording at noon. I included one still frame, pendant glinting midair. Her response arrived fast, clipped, defensive, predictable. You're bluffing, you won't nuke your own life. Watch me, I wrote and hit the side button. Airplane mode on, recorder still rolling, nerves cool. We waited through a silence that scraped. I counted breaths and rehearsed the next move. Across from me, Eli frowned at the door. He was bracing for footsteps and fallout. A car stopped outside, engine ticking after shutdown. I stood and slid the deadbolt halfway. 2 knocks, a pause, then a third. I let the gap stay small, control precise. She held a canvas pouch and nothing else. No cops, she whispered, eyes sharp and bright. No drama, I answered, my voice even. Place it on the mat and step back. She obeyed, then tried to look past me. I blocked the angle with my shoulder. Inventory's complete, she muttered, impatience showing. I kept the door wedged and filmed the drop. I lifted the pouch and weighed its contents. Something rigid, something thin, something metal. Stay right there, I ordered without raising volume. I turned and poured the items onto the counter. A keycard, 2 folded receipts, the pendant. Also a small drive with a cheap lanyard. I photographed everything and zipped them again. Through the crack, she checked her phone and shifted. You got what you wanted, she snapped, control fraying. You're done, I answered, then clarified the terms. You'll send a written admission before 10. Or I publish the plan with names. Her jaw set, chin tilting up in defiance. You won't expose him, she almost smiled. I stared until the smile peeled away. Try me, I said, and closed the door. Eli hovered at the counter, palms open, careful. I plugged the drive in and waited for mount. A folder tree appeared, tidy and damning. At the top, a document titled Rules. I opened it and found instructions for escalation. When to push, when to retreat, when to bait. A final line read, secure a kiss for proof. Heat rose in my throat and stayed there. I printed the last page to a fresh PDF. Then I attached it to the draft statement. Consent used as a prop, I typed, hand steady. Distribution paused, pending written accountability. Eli touched the edge of the counter and winced. This burns everything, he whispered, eyes fixed. Everything rotten, I answered and let the words land. He nodded once like a verdict had registered. My timer hit 0, the witness responded. I retract, send me the template. I fired a one-line form with blanks. It came back signed in 2 minutes flat. Airplane mode off, messages flooded the screen. Her admission arrived, short and viciously careful. Pushed boundaries for reaction, she wrote, no apology. Deleted files returned, no further contact. I saved it, then built a final bundle. Evidence index, admission, retraction, rule sheet. I mailed it to myself and a trusted moderator. Then I sat down and let my hands stop. Eli pulled a chair and waited for judgment. Next steps, he asked, voice low and rough. I held his stare and counted to 5. Tomorrow you tell the group yourself, or I will. I booked the table and sent the time without pleasantries. Eli read the invite twice, then tucked his phone away. Speak first, I told him, no wiggle, no softness. He nodded once, then stared at the door like punishment waited. People arrived in clusters and glanced at our corner. I laid the pouch on the table like a warrant. We're addressing a setup, I announced, voice crisp and steady. Chairs scraped, eyes narrowed, someone muttered that word again, setup. Lena swept in last, wrist loose, smile small. She clocked the pouch, then my recorder, then Eli's posture. Still doing theatrics, she breathed, tapping her nail twice. Start, I said, and pointed to him first. Eli stood and faced the circle without blinking. What? I flirted, I liked the attention, I crossed lines. He lifted 2 fingers, then dropped them as if burned. I ended it not soon enough, I own that. A murmur rolled and hit the firewall. I let it pass, then lifted the drive. Materials confirm planning and escalation, I stated, clean and line. Proof includes messages, audio, and a written admission. Lena laughed, quick and bright, then clipped the edge. Anyone can fake screenshots, she said, lip tight. I opened the file with her spares interface. Her alias bloomed on screen with timestamps and threads. Check the metadata, I said, sliding the view around. One of the mods leaned forward and examined details. Their brow rose, then their mouth flattened like a seal. They nodded once at me, then once at her. She switched tactics fast, shoulders loosened, tone turned airy. Look, we all play, we test, we tease. Her gaze landed on me like a verdict request. Unless she suddenly hates fun. I pressed play on the 30-second clip. Her voice described the bait and the desired reaction. The witness's handle flashed, then their retraction followed. The mod exhaled hard, then lifted a palm for quiet. Consequences, I said before the room diluted. Return everything taken, stop contacting us, issue a statement. I sketched the 3 bullet points in black ink. No insults, no loopholes, no timing games. She scoffed, then her jaw hardened like cooling metal. You're not the boss here, she tossed, chin angled. I'm not, I agreed and turned to the group. Decide whether this behavior gets a pass. Silence held for a beat, then voices cut through. One friend pushed their chair back and faced Lena. This crossed consent and community trust, their voice rang. Another added, "You owe an apology, not snark." Lena's eyes flicked to Eli and stayed there. "You enjoyed the dance," she murmured, almost tender. He didn't move, which finally mattered. That stillness slammed the door I couldn't close alone. I set the pendant on the wood between us. "Recognize this?" I asked, letting the chain drape. She stared at it and blinked once, slowly. "Cute," she said, but the word had no weight. "We vote now," the mod announced, tone firm. "Accept the terms or remove access for 6 months." Hands went up, voices counted, tension hummed like wiring. Majority chose the block, not the slap on the wrist. Her lips parted, then shut, then parted again. She turned to me like I'd stolen something sacred. "You wanted him to yourself, congratulations," she spat. I kept my eyes on the mod and waited. "Statement within 24 hours, the mod concluded, gavel efficient. "Failure triggers full release of the archive we hold." They collected the pouch and locked it in their bag. Lena watched the transfer with a twitch she couldn't hide. The circle broke in uneven ripples and drifted out. I stayed seated until only 3 of us remained. Eli stood beside me and kept his hands visible. "Next step," he asked, voice quiet and hoarse. "You contact every person you misled and correct it." I listed names while he typed, no sugar, no padding. "Then you give me space until I invite you back." His throat worked once, then he nodded and kept typing. My phone buzzed with a new DM from an unknown. "Lena S. drafting a counter with edits and alibis." A location pin followed, a cafe 2 blocks away. "Act fast or she reframes the whole game." I rose and pocketed the recorder and the drive. "Walk me there," I told Eli, pace brisk. "If she runs a smear, we intercept and document." He matched my stride and didn't ask for forgiveness. We spotted her through the window, eyes on a laptop. Another person hovered beside her and whispered notes. I filmed from outside, angle clear, screen readable enough. She scrolled through a statement full of deflection and spin. I stepped in and crossed the space without breaking rhythm. "Revision time," I announced, landing the words like pins. She jolted, then closed the lid halfway, too late. I showed the recording, then the mod's deadline text. "You post the admission as written, not a remix." I handed her the exact 3 lines on paper. "Or the archive goes public with context and dates." Her partner backed away, hands up, allegiance evaporating. She scanned the lines and let out one hard breath. Her knuckles went white around the edge of the table. "You'll still lose him," she whispered, almost tender again. I tilted my head and surprised us both. "Maybe," I said, "and maybe I choose something cleaner." The words tasted like a door finally unlocked. She searched my face for weakness and didn't find it. Then she opened her laptop and started typing the truth. I watched each letter appear, then watched her hit post. The link pinged my notifications and the mod S2. I took a screenshot of the final paragraph for records. Eli closed his eyes for a count of 3. "Now leave," I told her, voice flat as S. Tone. "No more contact, no more stunts, no more followers games." She lifted the strap of her bag and stood slowly. At the exit she paused, then looked back with salt. "This isn't over," she said, voice thin and sharp. "You don't scare me," I answered and felt the shift. She left and the space cooled by a degree. The quiet after told me the real fight hadn't started yet. Outside, Eli reached for my sleeve and stopped short. "I'll respect the space," he murmured, not meeting my eyes. "Good," I replied, because promises need distance to harden. He turned away while I dialed the last number on my list. The witness picked up and spoke before hello. I submitted the retraction to the mod and the group. "Good," I said, "and send me the original file." A pause lingered, then a transfer started with a chime. I watched the progress tick and held my breath. When it finished, I checked the hashes against my copy. They matched, which locked down my timeline. I saved both and finally let my shoulders drop an inch. My screen lit again with a single text from Lena. "Enjoy what's left," just 3 words and a period. I stared at them and felt nothing useful. Then I turned off my phone and walked toward the last boundary I owed myself. I changed the lock code before sunrise and watched it accept. Eli stood by the doorway with an overnight bag half-zipped. Wait for my message before you return anything else. He swallowed, then set the key on the counter and backed away. I opened the group chat and typed 3 plain lines. Archive secured, statement posted, boundaries enforced. Then I added one more sentence and sent it. Anyone who repeats this game loses access for good. My phone buzzed with reactions that tried for sympathy. I skimmed and muted without ceremony or guilt. A second thread lit up with nervous questions. I dropped a link to the admission and closed it. Eli hovered near the hall, voice rough and quiet. I booked a place month to month, no excuses. I measured his face for honesty instead of charm. Good, I answered because distance needed a start line. He reached for a hug and froze mid-gesture. Not now, I said, palm out, pulse steady. We rebuild from proof, not comfort. He lowered his arms and nodded like it cost him. A new ping landed from an unknown with urgency. Watch her story in 5 minutes, the text warned. I opened a clean account and watched the countdown. Lena went live and started rewriting like it was sport. I recorded from the first syllable and waited her turn. Halfway through, she tried to drag my name back. I posted her written admission over the clip midstream. Viewers flooded the comments and asked one pointed question. She ended the feed and blocked me in a heartbeat. The mod forwarded a screenshot with a single line. Violation noted, sanction extended, archive locked. I exhaled once and felt something heavy unstick. I packed his remaining shirts into a narrow bundle. No scenes, no accusations, only logistics and timing. He took the bag and paused at the threshold. Hope I earn another chance, he whispered into the space. Earn your own spine first, I told him without heat. Then see if we still want the same life. He nodded and left his gaze on the floor. The door clicked behind him like a clean cut. I walked to the mirror and assessed the damage. My cheeks showed stress I could name without shame. Underneath it, a steadier person held the line. I unlocked the drive and reviewed the index one last time. Everything critical sat backed up and dated with care. I sent a final packet to the moderator for safekeeping. Then I drafted my own post with 3 paragraphs. Here is what I learned, here is what stops now. Before posting, I dialed Lena and let it ring. She answered and breathed like nothing had happened. You still chasing attention? I asked, voice even. Silence stretched, then a scoff, then a brittle laugh. You really think anyone believes you over me? People believe timestamps, they believe receipts, they believe patterns. I let each word sink and take its space. Consider this your last direct call from me. I hung up and hit publish on my feed. Comments blinked in with relief and sharp clarity. A former friend wrote 3 words that mattered. We should have listened. I set my devices down and opened the window. Air hit my face and snapped me awake fast. The room felt larger because I wasn't shrinking. I stood there and counted the beats until calm. The witness pinged again with a short update. Job done, apology posted, link included. I checked it and logged the change in the file. A closed loop never sounded so precise. Eli texted a photo of his new door number. No captions, no heart, only a number and a handle. Good first step, I replied and silenced the thread. He needed milestones, I needed quiet. I brewed coffee and left it to cool untouched. Hands-free, I drafted a bound. RE list for myself. 3 lines, same rules I gave everyone else. No access without honesty, no flirting with chaos, no secret tests. A final message arrived from a burner with swagger. See you around, 2 words and a wink emoji. I blocked the address and smiled without sweetness. I knew exactly where not to show up. By noon, the circle adjusted without her gravity. Plans shifted, invites changed, energy steadied. I kept my distance and let the group recalibrate. Power feels different when you stop chasing approval. Late afternoon, a knock landed on my door. I checked the peephole and saw no one waiting. A parcel sat on the mat with a typed note. Close the loop inside a photo of the napkin. I tore the picture in half and fed the pieces down. Not rage, not performance, just maintenance and peace. Then I messaged the mod with the last receipt. All items returned, thread complete, sanctions stand. Evening drifted in and my phone stayed quiet. I lit a candle and let it burn for focus. I wrote a list of things I wanted next. Every line started with me, not us. My screen flashed once with a new request. Unknown number asking if I was free tomorrow. I stared at it and felt the old pull. Then I typed 4 words that reshaped everything going forward. Not until I'm ready, I hit send and locked it. Across town, someone would purse their lips and wait. Inside me, a door finally shut without slamming. Tell me, would you have kept him, or would you have chosen yourself too?